learned some things that will probably be useful to all of us, myself included. So with that said, I'm going to turn it over to Amina, who is going to introduce herself a little bit. But I was reading through her bio, and I don't know about y'all, but I think many hands make lighter work, and she talks quite a bit about teamwork. She talks about self-awareness. You have to be aware of who you are before you can really bond with other people, which I'm kind of interested to hear more about. She also says, well, she doesn't say, I say, we need to involve more of our members, because I believe when you have members who are doing the work of the local, then they take more ownership and more pride in it, and they are willing to do more things for it. And we want to expand the number of hands that do all the work that we do. So with that said, I'm going to let Amina take over and tell us what she wants us to know about her, and then tell us what we need to know about leadership and teamwork.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all for having me. For those of you who were around, I believe at the same meeting a year ago, I presented a little bit over there. So I went through my notes from last year because I was talking to Wanda about this, and I said, I want to say something new and amazing. And as you all know, it's tough getting new members out there. I know I'm talking to the folks who are living that day in and day out. So I have a lot of cool information I want to share with you today. Whoever's hosting, do you think you could maybe just mute everybody just to make things easier so people don't have to, if you can mute yourself, even better, but that way, in case there's some background noise, we don't have to worry
I'm trying.
about it.
I actually can't see the controls right now. I'm not sure where they're.
Sometimes you just have to move your mouse around.
Yes. Okay. I am going to see if I can mute everyone.
But we don't.
And if not, if you all could just go ahead and mute yourself. It's the bottom left. It looks like a microphone. And if you mute yourself, you'll put a little line through it. If you're on a telephone, if you use *6, it'll mute you. So if you can, go ahead and just mute yourself, and then you can unmute yourself if you need to come off and ask me a question. But that'll just help with background noise. So let me go ahead and share, get my presentation up here on the screen.
That's the only thing we're hearing.
Yep, it is. We've got to go back to that.
So we can't get.
If you click on her, it's not.
I don't know why I can't get that off.
Oh.
Sorry, guys. I'm trying to mute everybody, but it's not working.
No.
No big deal, because I needed a second to get my presentation up. All right, give me a thumbs up if you all can see my screen. All right, perfect.
All right,
Okay,
we're just going to use this.
Somehow I could.
Is that off now? We're good, right?
Nancy,
It's doing that because.
Nancy Harrington, can you guys mute yourself?
Yeah. Okay.
We have it. It's supposedly
Mute your
muted.
phone.
Okay, I don't think I hear you now. There you go. Perfect. Okay. And then Mary, can you mute yourself?
This is Mary Holden, but I can't get. I don't know. I can see all of you. You can't see me, and the mute is really going crazy.
Well, look at the bottom of your. Actually, you know what?
I muted her and she's not staying muted. It keeps unmuting her, so I'm not sure what else to do.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started, and we'll just do our best over there with what we've got. But Mary, I think you're muted now. Okay, so just by way of background about me, I've got 25 years of management consulting experience, And I also worked with a man named Jack Canfield. He's best known for his Chicken Soup for the Soul books, but he's also written a book called The Success Principles. And so what I've done in my career is taken the very practical best practices of management consulting and combine them with the success principles to really come up with how do we get people to change their behaviors and what are the messages that actually work. So I have been working with NRTA, the National Retired Teachers Association, part of AARP now for 3 years, really looking at retired educators and what work. And I'm really excited to tell you all that we are doing a research project where we're going to start looking at 50 plus educators, not necessarily all retired, but just that age group, 50 plus, to see what the soon to be retired and newly retired educators are really interested in, what kind of communication methods they use. So next year I'll be doing a training class that's specific to the outcome of that research. And I've been waiting for this for a long time because without the research, we just keep trying all these new methods to get to members. And some of them work, some of them don't. Like I said, I know I'm talking to the people in the trenches when I'm saying this, but hopefully with some more research, we'll actually get some better methods to do that. We did do some preliminary research, so I've included some of that in today's presentation, but also want to interact with you all. So I know I've got everybody on mute, so hopefully you all will be able to unmute yourself when I start asking some of these questions right here. So why do you think it's important to have a relationship with your local school district or districts? What are some reasons that that would be a good thing? You can put in the chat or you can go ahead and unmute yourself, or you can raise your hand and we'll unmute you if you don't know how.
I would say it's important so you can help each other.
Say more about that, Deborah.
I see us as the second phase to our local school system, and it is becoming more difficult to give and take with getting names of retirees and such. We're looking at ways around that if we can possibly do that.
Yeah. So it's good for us and it's good for that. It's a mutually beneficial relationship with our school system.
Yes.
Okay. I saw Addie's hand up. Addie, are you able to unmute? And then John and Sharon, I see both of you as well. Christina.
Sure. I had the same response that it allows us to communicate with people who are getting ready to retire.
Okay, wonderful. I don't know if John, if you were up first or Christina or Sharon. So we'll just go.
I don't care.
We'll go John, Christina, Sharon. How's that?
Okay, that's fine. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, that's great. I think our members want to keep some connection with the local school system. I'm living in a different area than I taught in Maryland, and I enjoy very much making a connection with the local school district. I think our members still want to be relevant, and we conduct service projects that assist the local students in our local school district, in addition to scholarships, and that keeps us relevant for ourselves. But it also makes our organization relevant for the pool of potential members who will working now, but will see us as an organization that has value for them when they retire and will allow them to continue their connection with the school system.
Right. If they're seeing you do good work, that in and of itself is great advertising right there for them to join. Great. Thank you, John. Christina.
Maintaining a relationship with the school district also allows us to better protect our members. So as an example, we recently discovered that there were some inequities in our health benefits packages. And through our relationship with the district, we were able to sort of work through that with them to make sure that it does not continue to happen going forward.
Nice. Nice. So truly being that advocate and the voice for retirees. Right. Thanks, Christina. Sharon?
Well, I think I'm just going to piggyback on some of the comments, but because I really feel like it's important to maintain a community and a camaraderie with retirees. And because I've been retired for about a year and a half, and you're entering a new phase where you kind of go in almost blindly, and it's a comfort and that community of being able to have people who have been in it for 10, 20, 30, 40 years and their expertise, and then all of the newbies coming in that, here we are, and where do we go next? And also the aspect of protecting us through different ways, such as healthcare or other benefits.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great, because you do have this very large network. You have a network while you're in the schools, but
Right.
amazingly, you have an even larger network when you retire across the whole state. So that's a great point.
There are a number of comments in the chat as well.
I was just going to say, I will read the comments in the chat as well. Linda says to keep retired members up to date on healthcare benefits. Addie, communicate with people who are retiring. Linda, contacts with future and recent retirees. Linda, to make them aware of our group and our activities. Bob adds access to resources. Also, a lot of our community service projects involve keeping connected with our Board of Education, with our BOE. Thank you. Yeah, all great answers in terms of why it's important to maintain those relationships with your school district. I'm just going to piggyback off of this question. Why do you think it would be important for your volunteers, so already retired members in your area, what would be one reason, or more than one, that it would be important for them to maintain relationships with the school district? So we're doing the what's in it for me. Just popcorn them out. And John and Christina, you both can put your hand back down if you are able on your Zoom. Again, you're welcome to use chat. Knowledge of change in benefits. Why might it be helpful for one of your volunteer retired educators to have a relationship with the school district? So knowledge of any changes in benefits. Why else?
So our newly retired can still feel valued and helping within the school system.
Yeah, that feeling like you're adding value, relationships. I know some of the folks that I interviewed that are recently retired, they still want to get together with some of their coworkers that are maybe still teaching in the schools, or at the very least, they kind of still want to know what's happening in the schools. So absolutely. Opportunities to volunteer or work within the school system. Madeline, go ahead, and what do you have?
I think the social aspect of it is wonderful. Just to be able to socialize.
The social aspect and being able to socialize. I want you all to just tuck that nugget away, because we're really going to be talking about how do we motivate we're talking about two things. One, we always want to be bringing in more members, but two, we also want to know how we're going to motivate our volunteers to get on board with a new program that we came up with a new idea we have. So you want to be tucking this in. It's called WIFM. You'll see me talk about it a little bit later. I'm sure you all have heard of this before. What's in it for me? WIFM, sometimes people call it. So we really want to get strong on our what's in it for me messaging. Sometimes what happens with every organization I work for, we get really good at speaking the mission message, which is a great message. It's a powerful message, but it doesn't always get the what's in it for me for a particular event. So we really want to now start talking to our volunteers in the what's in it for me. We want to give them the mission message always. We don't want to dilute that, but we also want to add in, hey, this is why you might be particularly interested in helping us. Thank you for all that sharing. So why do we need to recruit new members to MRSPA and to your locals? These questions are easier than you think. It's the obvious answers I'm looking for. Go ahead, Debbie.
Well, something that we all struggle with is burnout in terms of our leadership. And many of us have served as president or other offices within our local numerous times. So bringing in new, fresh ideas and hopefully new leaders for our organization.
We need the succession planning. We need the next generation. John.
Yes, when you deal with government people, especially politicians, one of the first questions they ask is, how many members do you have?
Right.
Numbers are power.
Yeah. So to be effective as a whole, we need those numbers to help us say that. Keep it vibrant. I like that, Susan. Anyone else? There's one more I'm looking for, an obvious one.
They obviously bring new ideas.
New ideas. Financial, that's the one I was looking for, Sue. Thank you. New ideas. And we also need the money to keep doing stuff. I'm sure that we as a group have no lack of ideas on things that we could do to benefit our members, to benefit future retirees. But without the funding, without the boots on the ground, it becomes really hard to do that. Okay, I've got AARSPA president. I'm sorry, I don't know your first name. Go ahead.
Well, what I think is that it keeps old people like me a little more in contact with what's going on in the school system now, because we hear things that might be true, they might not be true, but if we get people who've just been there for the past couple of years, we really know what kinds of things are going on, what kind of help they need, and what we can do for our school systems. We gave our lives to them, so to just say, well, I'm done with it, that I could never do that. I was, I'm my heart is still at Arundel High School.
Right. Absolutely. And you're right. That's a newer connection. And then we all know that the world post-COVID is completely different. So even if we're coming in with ideas, even if we retired 10 years ago and you're coming in with ideas from 10 years ago, it's completely different. So even having somebody who's retired with the last 5 years makes a big difference. Thank you. And Tanya says more members make the organization stronger to be able to do different things that will benefit everybody. Absolutely. The more members we have, the more ideas we have, the more we are able to do the things that we actually want to do. Jeanette? You're still muted, Jeanette. We can't hear you, Jeanette. You're still on mute. So if you just...
Okay.
Now you're off.
Yes. Okay. In Prince George's County, we feel it's important to keep a close contact with our legislators, the state ones. So we involve them in some of our meetings, and we also go to Annapolis often to speak with them, and they support us and we support them.
Wonderful. Great relationship building. Thank you. All right, so we have one goal as an organization, and this is, I would submit this to you as something for you to consider. We have one goal, and that goal is to provide value. And I would say this in every aspect of your life, whether it's in this organization or whether it's working or even if it's in personal relationships or with your family, your goal is to add value. Now, obviously, how we add value can differ greatly depending on the person, depending on the situation. Sometimes adding value is simply being a listening ear. Sometimes adding value is calling up your legislator or driving to Annapolis. There's lots of different ways to add value, but our goal here is to add value. And we're not just adding value to our potential members, but we also want to add value for our volunteers. So those are the two caps I want you to keep with you for the rest of this presentation. How do we add value for our new potential members that we're recruiting, and how do we add value for our volunteers. So if we focus on those two aspects, the rest of this should become easier. It's still going to be work. There's still going to be phone calls. And I know you all have already been doing this work. I know you're already in the trenches doing this day in, day out. So I'm trying to give you some other ways of thinking about it, or some tools or tips that will hopefully just have you change how you're working maybe 1%, that will hopefully have the impact that you're hoping to have with the volunteers, with the new members. So focus areas for value. The state office, that group needs to focus on your mission. The reason for this is that as you are out recruiting new members or recruiting volunteers, we need to have some strong mission that we're recruiting folks into. So obviously any kind of save the pension, COLA increase messages are strong messages to get people involved. Somebody earlier talked about working with the school district to correct the inequities in the healthcare system. That is a strong message. Anytime that you're saying, because of us, because of the work that we are doing, you are benefiting while you're sitting at home sipping your coffee, we're out here working and you are getting the benefits of that. That is an important message, and that should be the focus of the state at the state level for sure. That should be their number one focus area. Obviously, it's a focus area for all the members, but that should be the primary focus on the state level. On the local level, the focus needs to be on getting the members. So just like any other sales model that you have out there, the person who's closest to the issue, the person who knows the school district the best, the person who is closest to the educators who are working in that area are going to know how to tailor any kind of messages in the mission to fit their area. So the whole idea of one size does not fit all, and how can I take the message from the mission and say, what's most important to my members right now? What's most important in this area? And why is it really important in this area? How can I communicate this in a way that makes sense for the group that I'm with? Now, for some of you all, I grew up in Montgomery County, Maryland, so I'm very familiar with that school system and how large it is. I currently live in a small town in the middle of nowhere in Illinois, farm country, Illinois. We have one elementary school, one middle school, and one high school. So both ends of the spectrum right there. So in Illinois, once you are in the school system, you know the entire school system. They know you. There's no getting lost over here in the school system. It's a small town. Everybody knows everyone's business, et cetera, et cetera. You all get it. In Montgomery County, it was a very different experience. I knew my high school, I knew my cluster of schools, my feeder schools, et cetera, but I didn't really know much about any of the other feeder schools. And the only thing I knew about the other high schools were their football scores. That was it. You didn't really understand how things worked or what was different, all of that stuff. So when you are in that local area, and especially like John was saying, he lives in a different part of Maryland than where he taught. I'm guessing that that is probably not the majority of your members. I don't know that for a fact. But when you're in an area where you have members that have been part of those feeder schools or who know, the high school, the middle school, who know the teachers from there, you've got a stronger relationship. And when you don't have that, you want to find folks who can go to each one of those different feeder schools and have relationships with each of those feeder schools. So we're going to talk a little bit about how you do that with relationship mapping. So this is new data that has just come out for 2024. Actually, it's not just come out, it's a few months old now. And it's what drives association growth. So there's 4 areas that drive association growth. One is using segmented messaging, a highly effective email acquisition program, having an ongoing communications program, and using what's in it for me messaging. Now, a lot of those are marketing terms. They might be familiar to you, they may not. I'm going to go through each one of them one at a time. So segmented messaging. What is segmented messaging? Let me go back to this for just a moment. You all can see that these 4 are clearly the highest ones out of the reasons that people join associations or membership type based groups. So this is not just retired educators, this is overall membership style groups. And so you'll see there's a lot of other reasons people join: best practices, engagement, paid digital renewals. And so these are all different marketing strategies mainly. But the biggest marketing strategies that work, the four top ones, those are the ones we are going to cover over here. So segmented marketing, what is that? That refers to a message that's for a subset group of people in a way that appeals or has meaning to them. So that's what I was talking about, knowing maybe you're the school you taught at and the feeder schools that go with that, or the clusters. I know there's different terminology for that. So having that segmented, or maybe it's an area of Maryland, maybe there's something special about the area you live in that can really speak to people. So something where you can take a general state message or a general message for all of Maryland and have it be more specific or segmented to the people that you want to talk to. Another type of segmented messaging is what we're working on with the research we're doing, is what is the messaging we need to give people who are maybe between 50 and 60, 60 and 70, 70 and 80? How do we change the messages on how we are talking to those folks? We're saying the same thing, but how do we maybe just, what are the references we use? I love to use this example. This is a training example. I remember that I was training a class. This is now many years ago already. I was training a class and I made a reference to Maverick and Top Gun. This is before the new Top Gun Maverick movie came out. I made this reference and these people, half the class looked at me literally deer in headlights. And I was like, you know Top Gun, right? Tom Cruise, Top Gun. And finally someone said, the crazy guy who jumped on Oprah's couch. And I was like, wait, before he was the crazy guy who jumped on Oprah's couch, he was like Maverick. I'm like, how do you not know this? So even just something like that, when you talk about segmented marketing, if you're using a reference like I used in a training class, thinking everyone would understand what I was talking about, but that reference didn't hold true for a lot of the folks in that training class, were too young to understand that reference. And even worse, they had a negative I was trying to have a positive connotation and they had a negative connotation. You all can imagine how many times we do this when we're talking to people, much less how many times marketers who are not, who aren't Coca-Cola are out there accidentally reaching out to us. How many people have been called by DirecTV? This is not an effective way to market to us, right? So these people need to put a little more thought into how they market. I don't think I will ever sign up for DirecTV again just because of their marketing, okay? Just because of all those phone calls. I never want to hear the word DirecTV again. So what are some examples of this? So a general call to action, taking a general call to action email and customizing it either by job. So the subject line could be, if you're customizing it by a job you had in the school, don't miss the bus, email your senator today. That's a way of doing segmented marketing. It's just a very simple way of saying or doing something where I automatically connect to you. Okay, take out your pen and paper, time to write your senator about our pension plan. So those are two different subject lines for the exact same email that's going out. But you all notice that depending on who you are, one of those messages may sit a little bit better with you. Does that make sense to everyone? Segmented marketing? Okay, other ideas: customized by school, by cluster, by decade retired, part of the town, by school colors. So lots of different ways that you can segment. And I am not the most creative person on earth, so I have no doubt you all can come up with better segmenting ideas than I can. But here are a few just to hopefully help you understand. And I see folks, I think I see folks taking notes. I will share this presentation so that they can send this out to you afterwards. So you're welcome to take notes, but I'll also share this.
And it's being recorded.
And it's being recorded. Easy to segment with MailChimp. Yes, There are programs out there that will allow you to segment. MailChimp is one, Constant Contact. These are email programs that will allow you to segment your marketing. I don't know if any of you are using these kind of email programs, but if you are, there are ways to do this in an email program. If you're not doing that, don't worry about it. It's just more about how you're taking the communication messaging. Highly effective email acquisition. That is a lot of words to basically say we want to get their email address. So in today's day and age, how we communicate with people, almost all the ways we communicate with people require an email address. So even if you want to find members on Facebook, for example, on social media, one of the ways you can find members on Facebook is by entering in their email address. So email address is an important, even as we're moving to social media, new technology, all kinds of new stuff is coming up. That email address is still an important piece of information that we want to capture from people. So any opportunity you get, even if you are just happen to be sitting on a plane, flying back into Baltimore, National Dulles, wherever you're flying into, and you end up talking to somebody who's going to be a retired educator, even if they're not in your area, you talk to them, get their personal email address. Okay, that is like a key. Even if you don't get all the other information, one is not going to be happy. I've said that. We do want the whole form of information, but at the very least, we want to start being able to email them and start to talk to them. Okay, so what are some ways we can get email address? So here's just some fun, easy ways to do it. Again, some of these work more in a sales idea, but hopefully it'll give you some ideas on different ways to do this as well. Do a free drawing for a gift card for teachers. You know, somebody over here in the school system, one of our local businesses said that they would buy one teacher their entire Amazon gift list. You know, whatever their Amazon gift list is, they could buy the teacher the Amazon gift list, have all these teachers give you their email address to enter the drawing, you know, and maybe something else, their name and the school, you know, what school they're in and what year they started teaching, something like that to help you know when they're going to be close to retiring, and you get all their email addresses and then you do a drawing. So there's lots of different ways that you can do this. Other ideas, email signups at booths, asking school admin to put an email sign up next to a poster. So if you have the relationship with your school, which I know some of you do, some of you do not, where you can go into the school and ask them to hang something up, have them hang up the poster, and right next to them, have them hang up an email sign-in sheet. Once a month, go and ask to take a picture of it, or ask the school to take a picture of it and send it to you, something like that. So just some creative ways on how you can get email addresses from folks. Ongoing communications for new members. This was a really big one, and this is one that we don't just see at an NRTA or with our state organizations. I see this with every single client. In the corporate world, we call this employee retention, right? Every time you get someone new in, you've spent the time and the energy to recruit them, you've invested in them, and then they show up, they work for 6 months, they find another job, they leave, and you know, you've spent all this time and money. So this whole idea of wanting to fold people into your organization, into your culture, and make them feel connected over there. So that's really what this is about. It's really about creating that sense of connection. Now, all of us have that great intention to create that sense of connection for new members, for everybody when they join. There's nobody who does not want to do that. The reality is we get busy. We get busy doing the things that need to be done, and we forget to do this. This is another place where if you are using an email system like MailChimp or Constant Contact, where it can be super helpful. Even if you're not, you can actually schedule emails in Gmail. Even if you are just sending an email, maybe one a week for the first month that somebody joins, and then after that, maybe once a quarter, once a month. It doesn't have to be a lot. And these emails can be short and sweet. They can just say, hey, here's our newsletter here's a few of our newsletters from last year so you can see what we've been up to. I mean, you don't have to spend hours coming up with a perfect message. It's about making that person feel connected, about making that person feel like, hey, you joined something and we're excited you're here. So an example is, and I know that some of these examples, I'm sure you all have tried and done. The most ideal one is for each new member to get a mentor, another volunteer who agrees to email, call, text, check in with them. Again, even with the best intentions, sometimes this doesn't happen. One of the ways that you can ensure that stuff happens is having an email program. And the way that the email program works in systems like MailChimp and Constant Contact is once you add, you get my email address, once you add that in, it's already pre-scheduled. So all you have to do is add my email in like you would anything else. And then that sets off a series of me getting a series of emails with links to things on websites, links to MRSPA's website, etc. That's already been pre-created. And now I'm just getting these. And I feel like I'm getting an email every single week, but you haven't actually had to sit down every week and email me. So ongoing communications for new members is really critical. And even if I know all of our state organizations, maybe not all, but most of our state organizations try to do like an orientation for new members. And I know folks don't show up, but even just getting the email and knowing that this exists for them means something. So doing one and them not showing up is better than not doing anything, as counterintuitive as that sounds. Okay, and then the last one of the top 4 was using what's in it for me messages. We talked about this a little bit earlier, but really thinking about how this message is relevant to the person right now. So one of the adult learning concepts is that they are now oriented. How is this going to impact me right now? Which is why when there's a problem with the pension, your membership goes up, your engagement goes up, everything goes up because there is a problem right now and I need you to take action right now. We're oriented. If you start talking about, hey, let's protect our pension, it's fine now, but you never know, and it goes down to the bottom of people's lists. So constantly thinking about what might be relevant to somebody right now and remembering that that keyword connection is huge. You can add value by creating meaningful connection for people. So what are some examples? So in a local, determine whatever you are doing, what is the value and the benefit to the actual member, your member, somebody who's already signed up. And sometimes the value or the benefit really might just be helping somebody else. We like to feel like we're helpful. We like to feel like we're needed. So maybe that's really your what's in it for me messaging. Hey, if I could, Debbie, you happen to be on my screen right now. So if I look at Debbie and I say, hey, Debbie, I've got this thing coming up and I'm in a bind and I really need your help. What do you think, Debbie? You don't even know what it is, but what are you leaning towards? Yes or no? Just hearing that. Leaning towards yes, right? So we are just kind of naturally built to help people. Not everybody. There's plenty of no's out there, but in general, we like to feel like, there's something. And if I took that message a step higher and I said, Debbie, I know that you are really good at X, and I've got a situation that requires someone who's really good at X. I'm not great at X, but you are. Is there any way that you can help me? How much quicker does that yes go up, Debbie? Yeah, it makes a difference, right? So that's how you do the what's in it for me messaging. It can really just be, hey, we need you. Like we need your help. We can't do this without you. Or it can start to get kind of personalized and say, I need someone who knows the principal at these schools. I'm trying to contact somebody who has a relationship with someone in this office. All of a sudden, that message is different than I need volunteers. You all see that's a small change, but it's a change that drives action. So what is the status of your local relationship? So I just want you all to take a moment right now, and whatever your gut is, what is the status of your relationship kind of at the district level and then at the school levels? And you can just give it, good, needs improvement, great, non-existent. And any answer is okay, because I know that it's not from lack of trying that you all don't have these relationships over here. So this is just for you. Just give yourself a second to think about that. Got a number of goods. Good. I haven't seen any non-existence. That's because I know the non-existents aren't typing them in. It's okay. Not your fault. Some of these school districts are tough.
Is this individual or as part of the organization?
As your locals. So as the local. Yeah. And I know that these schools are busy. They're busy to even answer phone calls, so I got it. So we got some just okays, very good. Good given that it's a larger school system. Great. That's awesome. And there's some non-existents, I'm sure, hanging out there. It's okay. We won't call you out. I actually this is last year, I actually did a backpack drive last year where we collected all the school supplies and put backpacks together for the kids in, again, small town Illinois. And I will tell you, I reached out to all 3 principals and only one principal reached out to me. And that was giving them free backpacks filled with school supplies. I still couldn't get a call back. And I live in a tiny, tiny school district. So I know how hard it is to get into any schools anywhere, regardless of what's going on. Excellent rapport. Great. Awesome. Good. Good. Given large school systems. Great. Okay, so engaging locally, creating a relationship map. This is a tool that we use all the time in consulting, and I'm very excited to share with you. A relationship map lists all the people that you currently have relationships with or would like to have a relationship with, and then which one of your members, it could be yourself, it could be one of your volunteers, has the relationship, and then the key part over here is color-coded the quality of the relationship. Because as you all know, some of us have relationships with people. They know our name, they know us very well, but we are not the person who should pick up the phone and call them if we need something. We're the last person they want to hear from. So you want to know, not just do they know you and do they know you well, but what is the quality of that relationship? So I put together, I just went online over here. I mentioned to you all that I'm from Montgomery County. I went to Wooten High School. So I went over here and just did kind of a fake relationship map just to show you all and give you an example of it. So over here, I have the school district. I have the positions over on the left. I have the name of the person in that position. I put in time and position. You may or may not know that, but that might make a difference. For example, Thomas Tyler's relatively new. That might be, a good time to reach out to this person and build a relationship with this person. They're new, they're probably still getting to know their role a little bit, etc. And then I put the name of who has these relationships, and I used myself and Wanda over here. So both Wanda and I, not in real life, but in this example, both Wanda and I know Thomas Tyler, and we both have good relationships. And then I even put some notes in here. So Wanda's in a book club with his wife, and that's how she happens to know him. Maybe she's done some legislative stuff with him, etc. Their phone number and their email. So you can actually create a relationship map for all the points of interest or people of interest in your school district. Keeping in mind that it's not just the leaders. I mean, having a great relationship with a school secretary is going to get you very far. You all already know this, I know. Will get you further than having a great relationship with a principal in many cases. So really, it's about thinking about everybody that you have a relationship. And then when I say the people you'd like to have a relationship with, usually that is at the higher levels of leadership, usually. But it's anybody. So this is a great activity to do with your volunteers. You could say, hey, we're putting together a relationship map. And I know that we have volunteers from all different schools within the district. I'm reaching out to you. Please send me an email or, reach out to me and let me know, do you still know anyone at your school, the school you taught at? Do you still have any relationships there of anybody you know? Anybody. The building services person, the security person, the secretary, anybody in that school, let me know. And, try to get an idea from them about the nature of the relationship. Do you still have a good relationship with anybody in there? And you will be surprised how quickly you can create a relationship map. And also, what's in it for me? You're engaging your volunteers. I need your help. I'm again reaching out to Debbie and saying, Debbie, I don't know anyone at your school. Who do you know at your school? It's a very different message than, hey, we're doing, think about how you tailor it too. Now, hey, we're doing a relationship map. We want this from everybody, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, we need your help. We need to get into the schools. Here are the 3 schools we're targeting having better relationships with. Do I have anyone from these 3 schools that knows anybody? Every one of those messages, you're making it more and more likely for me to hit reply and respond to you. That makes sense to everyone? So I will also share, I just created this template. You can put in, it's an Excel document. You can put in all kinds of other information that might be relevant to you, but I just wanted to put something together so you all got an idea of what one might look like. And again, we use this all the time in consulting. We might get hired by the sales department to help to do some sort of a sales project. And then I might go to a meeting to represent the sales project on, to give an update on the project we're doing. And while I'm talking at the meeting, maybe somebody from HR comes up to me and says, hey, that was really helpful, that presentation. And, I really like the way you did blah, blah, blah. And I'm having this problem and blah, blah, blah. Can we grab some time on the calendar? And boom, just like that, now I have a relationship with someone in HR. And maybe the consulting company I'm working for or myself now has more work that I can be selling somebody in the HR department. So this is a common consulting tool that we use because somebody might come in, maybe our company president comes in and says, hey, we created this great new thing for an HR department over here that we think would be great at this client. Amina, do you know anyone in HR? And I'll say, yeah, actually, I do. I know the head of HR because I met him at this meeting and helped him with something he needed help with. We have a good rapport, and I can make an introduction and set a meeting up for you. So that is the purpose of using the relationship map and how it gets used in consulting all the time. So this I just made bigger for you all to see, and I forgot I did that, so I apologize. Notice I put a not good relationship with poor Christina Rice. I don't know any of these people. So I don't know Christina Rice from staff development, but just to show you all, maybe I'm a parent of a child there and Christina had to call me to tell me that my kid is a terrible human being or something. And so Christina and I don't get along. So yeah, I know Christina, but you don't want me to go and talk to Christina. You don't want to say, oh, Christina, yeah, I've heard about you. My friend Amina was, you don't want to do that. So that's what you want with the relationship. Yellow might just be like, oh yeah, I've met Essie. I've met her a time or two, but I don't know if she'd actually remember me. I don't know if she, like we've been at a couple events together. I've said hello to her. But if you say, oh, Essie, Amina mentioned you, she might not know who Amina is, or she might. That's what a yellow would be. Okay, so creating a relationship map, already covered this, and just because of time, I'm going to go quickly through these. Reach out to your current members, ask them who they currently know in school administration or local schools. This could be colleagues, their children's teachers, grandchildren's teachers. They might know people through church, book club, tennis, pickleball, golf, etc. So they might know people in other schools through some different activities. Start to document it pretty, document it ugly, it doesn't matter. Just start to document the relationships and who knows who. And then when you need to make headway someplace or you want to get into a school or you want to do something, look up who has the relationship and reach out to that person directly versus a general call for volunteers. So get it into more of the what's in it for me. Don't worry if it takes time. It takes a while for people to know who you are. So there is a theory over here that it takes at least 7 interactions for people to know who you are and be interested in joining or interested in working with you or interested in having a relationship with you. 7. The new data that's coming out is post-COVID. It's more like 12 to 18 because people are so tuned. There's so much noise coming at people that the first 7, they almost just tune out. So it's going to take 12 times of running into Essie at an event before Essie may start to go, oh, yeah, Amina, I think I've met that person. right? 12 times. That's a lot of times. So it takes some time for this to happen. I know you all, Wanda has been sharing with me all the amazing work you're doing. I'm going to try to stay on for a little bit after this to hear some of the amazing work you're doing. I know you all have been out there pounding the pavement, building the relationships. And, a lot of you have good relationships. And I know that that's taken time to build that. So as we start to reach out to new members or build new relationships, just know that it takes time. Most people stop after 3 or 4 times, not DirecTV. DirecTV keeps going. But most people, after they get no or you get blown off 3 or 4 times, most people give up. But it actually takes, this is sales right here. 89% of salespeople give up after the 4th time they've contacted somebody. But it takes 7 times for people to just start to kind of get a grasp of who you are and what your organization is. 7, 89% of people give up after 4. So it takes time. I just put this in here as like a little go you, hang in there. You'll break through this. We all will. It just takes some time. And know that it's not just you, it's everybody. Everyone's clamoring to get into the schools. You all already know this from being in the schools. It's a big place that people want to focus everything. They want to focus fixing all of our country's problems. Oh, let's just go to the schools. And so you all already know this. There's a lot of people trying to get in there and trying to get their time. Add value, build the relationships, see who already has the relationships, use those folks instead of going in there and just keeping pushing, see if there's other ways you can kind of work your way in. So our search to add value is the goal. How much do you all feel like you know about a 2023 retirees experience? Where's the one person I've got who is a 2022 or 2023 retiree? She probably knows a lot about their experience. How much do you all know? Quick poll. A little, a lot, not that much. Not too much, most of us are saying. Yeah, I see all the head shaking going on. Not too much about a 2023. So that's the other little piece of homework I would give you all, is to actually see if you can find somebody who's retired within the last 3 years. Anybody. So again, reach out to your volunteer group and say, hey, does anybody, you can post this on Facebook. That's what I did. I did some research for NRTA and I just posted on my Facebook. I said, I need to talk to educators who have retired within the last 3 years. Does anybody know anyone? And I got people from all over the country, because I have friends from all over the country, or even if they are all local folks from where I live, they have friends from all over the country. And I talked to a lot of different folks. So even just something like this, is just to say, yeah, so Christina's in 2022. Everyone can call Christina over there. Christina, I just volunteered you for this project. No, but in all seriousness, just say I need to talk to someone who's retired in the past 3 years. And I'll actually give Wanda this too. I'll give her the questions that I ask people when I did my interviews. And I asked people, for those of you who were here last year, I created these little things called personas. I talked to folks in the state of Maryland and I created personas based on what they were telling me was of interest to them. Do your own research and just have fun with it. What are the things that you're into? What every morning when you wake up, what do you check? Do you check Facebook? Do you check your email? Do you check Instagram? So now you know where they go. I'm not saying you have to go start putting stuff there, but now okay, wow. Everyone I talked to said Instagram. We don't even know how to use Instagram. Okay, maybe we want to spend some of our time and energy, or we want to find someone who can help us with Instagram, or maybe not. Just because that doesn't mean you have to use it, but now it's a piece of information that you know. You can get your grandkids to help you with it. I can't even use Instagram now too, so I have to get my nieces and nephews to help it. Okay, engage locally. Find the areas that need to have value. So look for places where you can add value by understanding what a retiree or school administration or HR person is experiencing and where there's gaps. Example, as you develop relationships, one of the best questions you can ask people is, what has their experience been like? So talking to someone who recently retired, what was that experience like? What part was easy? What part was hard? Where did you struggle? That's really what you want to ask. If you have a relationship in your school district with someone in HR. Hey, as you're helping people go through the retirement process, what part do they get stuck on? What part's a lot of work for you? And then maybe you'll come up with a creative solution on how to help them with that part. Maybe, maybe not. But it's good information. It's good data to know, hey, most people get stuck on, most people forget to update their dependents. Just something that simple. Well, maybe as you're doing your next communication, you can say, don't forget to update your dependent. When was the last time you checked on who your dependents are? Whatever, right? So as you get that data, you can think about how you might be able to use it. And just because you have the data and just because you find that this is a problem, maybe it's not your problem to solve. You guys don't have to do everything, right? But it's always helpful to know. It's helpful in relationship building when you talk to someone who's recently retired and said, oh, yeah, I heard that the most difficult part of the retirement process was updating your dependents. It automatically builds rapport. So even if you're not doing anything to fix it, you now have a piece of data that can help you build rapport. So lots of different ways to use this, but interviewing folks is, a good way to do it. Okay, we also have Sharon over here. Christina and Sharon, Sharon retired in 2023, but she has slightly different experience. But see, Sharon, just you writing that, I'd be so curious to know what was different in your experience. So I pulled this off of the pension website, and I'm not going to go into this now, but again, it's in the presentation. But they have a retirement checklist. You all have probably seen this or heard that it exists. I put the link to it down here. But here's something where you can actually look at what are the activities in retirement and see if there's any place here that you have volunteer members who are really good at this, who know something about this, who have expertise in it. And maybe you can say, hey, does anybody know anything about Form 26 about purchasing eligible service? And then, be someone who might just be a level of support or offer to read Form 26 with somebody and answer some basic questions. Maybe this is outside your lane. That's fine too. But these are the ways that you start to cultivate these ideas of what to do. This is just the retirement checklist. I just put that in there. It'll be in there. So I think, Wanda, I think I have like maybe about 15 minutes left. Does that sound right?
Yes.
Okay. So I just want to spend a little bit of time here allowing you all to share. So based on what I guess 2 questions. This question that I put up here, what are some of the ideas you have based on the issues you already know about? You all have some time to share with one another. And also what you've heard me talk about a lot of different things. What questions do you have and what is kind of top of mind? What was the valuable chunk? Usually when you hear one of these presentations, if the presenter is lucky, you take away one kind of, wow, that one thing was interesting. So what was that one thing for you? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. So ideas you have, questions, and what was your kind of one takeaway? And feel free to use chat as well. I'll pull that up as well. And then you can just unmute yourself and talk or raise your hand and I'll call on you. I'm not worried about the silence because I know that's just you all thinking. Mary Jo, we'll go with you. And then
So
we'll
I'm
go
a very
Ron.
recent retiree, July 1 of 2024.
Oh,
And there's,
wow. Okay.
there, I like that whole mentor thing idea. There's so many things. I'm going to give you the most recent thing that I noticed. And I know every school system is different. I already got my immunizations for the fall. And as I got them at a local CVS, I was thinking, gosh, it's really too bad that I'm not still employed in the school system because I really miss getting my immunizations at the clinics that they have throughout the school system. And then like a week later, I realized that the school system does have clinics for retirees. And it was something I didn't know about. So I keep finding out things as I progress through the early months of my retirement. There are all these things I don't know about as a retiree that in this first year of retirement, I'm finding out about as I go through my first year. So I'm not hanging out with enough retirees, I guess.
Well, and
I just,
there's probably also just so much, right? Like that
right,
just probably doesn't come top of mind for somebody to think there's just so much information. But that's great for everybody who's listening here because that could be an email campaign, you know? Flu season's
right.
here, FYI, just so you know, and I don't know if that's statewide or if it differs by area or whatever, but
Well, and
like that's a great
there's
piece
just
of
a
feedback.
where there's all sorts of examples of this. And I've been documenting my experiences with retirement in Facebook. So a lot of the people I know are seeing some of those things. For instance, I didn't know, everyone says sign up. People are going to laugh at this one. Sign up for Medicare, sign up for Medicare, sign up for Medicare. I did. And then I got a bill for Medicare. Nobody said Medicare costs money. I felt like such an idiot. But once again, not a big deal. But
Right.
I wish someone had said, and it comes with a cost.
Right. Yeah. It's not free when you sign
Right,
up.
right.
Yeah. And the thing is, you don't know these things, right? Especially when somebody's saying sign up for it. It sounds like a benefit that you're getting, which it is,
Yes,
but you don't necessarily know that. Well, thank
right.
you, Mary Jo. Thank you for
Sure.
sharing your experience with us. It's always helpful for me to hear from folks who are recently retired, and you are fresh, new retired. So
Yeah,
congratulations.
thanks.
John.
Yes. Well, in the Southern Shore, uh, we've met as local presidents and decided that the way to make our organization something that new retirees will want to participate in is by doing projects that benefit current teachers and their students. Dorchester County has proved that this model works for membership recruitment. Worcester County now has started a program getting emergency clothing, especially underwear, socks, underwear, and sweat clothes to distribute to personal hygiene items to distribute to school nurses. Because when a child has an accident in school, they're usually referred to the school nurse. We've got a $1,000 grant from the Elks Club, and we're working with another private foundation to gain more so that we can fully outfit the school nurses with emergency clothing in every school in the district. And we know that word of mouth is going to get around on this, that our association has done this. Somerset County is in discussion now for a similar project. So we believe that will really be an effective method of communicating our mission. And of course, there'll be photo opportunities and other ways that we could publicize this.
And it's fun for members too. Like that's, especially if you're already doing it and it's already working, how hard is it to put out a Facebook post to say, hey, we're collecting socks and underwear for our local school. And now I'm, as a member, as an already one of your members, I am now engaged and helping you because it's easy and it's effective.
Yes.
So great work. Great ideas.
May I ask John a question?
Yes.
Kent County does, we in Kent County, we do that thing with donating to the school nurses. But I was impressed with the $1,000 donation from Elks. One of you is an Elk. You have a personal connection, or how did you go about that?
Yes. Okay. So probably among your members, I'm an Elk, and I knew that this money was available. I also knew that Elks, if you want to do something for kids, you're likely to get help from the Elks. They have slot machines in their clubhouse, so they got plenty of charity money. But there are others. The Optimists are the Friend of the Child. That's a group you could approach. The Kiwanis clubs also are very much, in fact, they in programs that help children. And the difficult part is some of these organizations will only give to a 501c3 organization. So you need to find a 501c3 organization to work through. We had to it was a lot of work, and we had to jump through a lot of hoops, but we finally found one that that would cooperate with us. One of the problems with that, well, not a problem, but we have to share the credit with them. We'd rather take all the credit for our organization, but it's doable.
But you got the money, and I appreciate your answer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And then I had some other hands up, but you guys dropped. I don't know. So I'll go to Sharon. Please, if you want to say something, put your hands back up.
Well, I'm friends with Mary Jo Richmond, and I just, and so we're friends on Facebook, and it wasn't until she started posting some of her experience and knowledge of a retiree that's only a year after me that I realized, okay, I'm not alone, because I was so completely confused. You go into the retirement meeting and they hand you a packet and you're like, are you kidding me? I don't know. And there's no real support. And it would be so fantastic. And I would volunteer Mary Jo to do this. But there needs to be somebody in HR who goes to these meetings who says, listen, guys, this is not complicated. And here's all you need to understand, because you get it all at once. And it is a mountain that's put on you.
And you're still working. Usually.
Exactly. And
you don't have time to sit down and figure all this out right now.
Because I was an administrator. And so like when you talk about, sending out an email to the 3 schools and you only heard back from 1, it's because the noise is so loud that, after 100 emails, you're way down there. And I don't even know you sent me an email, because there's like stuff that's hitting the fire. And now I'm supposed to fill out this packet, and I consider myself to be, a fairly intelligent person. And so then when our lead custodian, who I still remain friends with, when she had to fill it out, I actually went to the school and after school, and we were in the media center, and I walked her through it, which I thought, man, I wish I'd had somebody to walk me through it.
Right.
And that's what needs to be in the bill. And then all of a sudden, one-on-one and sharing that, then you can also, because then I got a card that said, can we give your information out? And I'm like, to who? Well, it was to the retirement, our retirement organization. But they don't explain that or tell you where your information is going to go or what it's going to be used for. All they needed to say it's the Frederick County, retired personnel, but they don't tell you that, because they don't know how important that kind of information is to you. And and they don't tell you that you're going to lose your email as of midnight. It's cut off. You can't access it. And nobody tells you that kind of stuff.
Yeah, something as simple as, hey, if you don't have a personal email address, get a personal email address.
Start dropping some emails in there that you want to keep. Yeah. But there's so much that you aren't told, and you feel like, well, I must be stupid. I've got to be stupid. And when Mary Jo put it out on Facebook, I felt like she really even made herself vulnerable, sharing, I didn't know this stuff. And we hate to admit we don't know stuff, but we don't know this. And so it would be fantastic to have people from organizations be able to partner with HR and go to those retirement meetings and tell people, hey, if you don't feel comfortable, don't fill it out right now. Come back to the next meeting we have, sign up. I went to a couple of meetings. Yeah, I went. In order for me to even be able to process it, I went to several meetings and finally went, okay, here we go.
Yeah. No, that would be great. It would be a high value add item. And not every local wants to take that on, which is fine.
Okay.
But you all are now hearing that there's a high value add item over here. Susan. You are muted right now, Susan. Can you find the little microphone?
I take it you're not talking about me.
No, Susan Bauer, maybe. Can we send Susan an request?
There we go.
There you go. Now we can hear you, Susan.
Well, I worked for Anne Arundel County Public Schools and retired about, let's see, 7 years ago. And I was manager and benefits for, we oversaw the retirement office. And we have two coordinators, retirement coordinators that would meet with prospective retirees and go over the packets. And we were fortunate to have two positions. We have over, Leslie could help validate, I think, well, we have a ton of retirees, but we had probably about 7,000 enrolled in retiree health care. So we definitely needed somebody to walk them through the whole process, the pension, the health care, what you have to do and they also send out a letter a couple months before you turn 65. So, I'm just indicating that Anne Arundel does have a program.
Wonderful. That's great, Susan. And it would be great
Thanks.
to hear from your recent it would be great to hear from your recent retirees how that also benefited them. And use that, and put that out there like, hey, we've got this program and you want to be part of this club,
Mm-hmm.
This is why you want to hang out with us. That's wonderful.
Thank you.
Well, thank you everyone for your time. If you haven't put your main takeaway in the chat, if you could go ahead and do that now. What's the one thing that you're going to take away from this session? It could be one thing you're going to do differently, one thing you're going to think about differently. What was that kind of one value add piece? And if you don't know how to use the chat, that's fine. But just think about that, write that down, because what happens with most of us is we go to these great classes and we hear all this fantastic stuff, and then we have all these wonderful thoughts, and then we go about our day and all of this kind of gets put on a shelf and forgotten. So if you have a place, a post-it note or whatever, where you can write down that one thing, write that down, put it on your computer, and that can be your one takeaway from our session today. Thank you all so much for your time. I really appreciate it. It was nice to see I'm going through the pictures on Zoom. It's nice to see some friendly faces, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your meeting. And Wanda, I guess I will, or Betty, do I turn it back over to you?
Sure.
Okay.
First of all, thank you very much for that. It was a good reminder of some things that I knew about and forgotten. And I hope that the people on the call have learned a few new things. I will say that I think building mapping is a great, or relationship mapping is a great tool. I've used it before and it seems to work quite well. So especially if you've got tiered retirees, you've got some that are just retired, some that have been retired a little longer and so on. It really helps to build relationships. So thank you again, Amina, and I hope you have a great rest of the day. Okay.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye. According to the agenda, we now have some information that's going to be given to us about local association posters in schools. So I guess I'll turn it over to Leslie and Susan.
Okay.
Unmute, Leslie.
Just a reminder too, we're getting some feedback. So if you're not speaking, please mute your microphone.
Susan, are you ready?
Yes.
She is. Okay. I was trying to find you. Susan Bauer and I represent Anne Arundel County. Sorry.
It's not you, Leslie. Somebody is not muted. Please check your microphones.
One of the reasons we are talking with you today is because, like some others that have already spoken, we had the lack of exposure to retiring personnel at all levels. The county no longer offered pre-retirement seminars where we could talk to people as they entered or exit the retirement seminar. So that ceased to exist for us. The other thing that ceased to exist for us was the recognition that the school board would offer to exiting retirees. We also had a presence at those locations, and now those no longer exist. COVID upset everything, and things that we once did we are no longer able, nor is the board able to offer to our retirees. The retirees do get a packet of information. We do supply the Anne Arundel County retired school personnel, give them information that goes into their packet, but they really don't know who we are. So the idea actually came from a joint meeting with the membership chairs across the state of Maryland. And I believe it was Wanda, I don't think I'm saying her last name right. Stofall?
Shofstall.
That's it. Thanks, Betty.
Shofstall.
Yes. She had an idea that she presented at one of our joint meetings. I liked her idea. And so therefore, I thought, I think this is something that Anne Arundel County can do. So God, this is awful.
Somebody's unmuted again.
I'm sorry. I'm going and muting as much as I can, but for some reason it's not letting me mute people.
John Bowman, it seems to be your computer. Can you mute? It keeps coming up here when that happens.
I'm sorry, I don't. It says I'm muted. It says I'm muted.
Yeah, that's the problem I'm seeing too. It's showing him as muted.
Yeah, I am muted. Sorry.
Now he is.
I see John twice on the screen. Do you possibly have your phone and your computer on, John?
Well, I do because wait a second, because
there.
I think that's what the issue was, having both open.
I'll continue, Betty.
Yes.
So as a result of her idea, I created a poster, an 11 by 17 piece of paper. And I went to Deb Ahalt, who is our human relations person on our board of directors, and she pulled off some Facebook pictures. She helped me coordinate a poster kind of idea that I then presented to the board of directors, our executive board, and had them look at it and make recommendations, and just take a look at this poster was it a good idea? Was it something worth pursuing in our schools? And the idea was that we would ask permission to put up this poster in every school in the county. They thought it was a good idea. We went back to the drawing board and refined it a little bit. And because Susan Bauer had the connection to the retirement and pre-retirement functions that had previously been in our school system, Susan took it to the next level for us and worked with the retirement office. And I'm going to let Susan tell us her process.
Okay. Thank you, Leslie. So I hate to get into all the nitty gritty, so I'll try to keep it as brief as possible. I met with the Office of Retirement Supervisor at that time. Well, that was probably back in February this year, and that was Lee Shackelford at the time. And he had the purview of looking at it and then taking it up one more step to the executive director of HR. He liked it very much. He gave it to the director, and she also said, yeah, this looks great. So Susan, Leslie could work with the design and print office as the next step to put together a nice looking poster. The meeting was held with design and print to discuss projects and deliverables. And the goal was to have the poster delivered to all schools and work locations before the end of May. So we wanted to get it to them before the end of the school year. They completed a draft of the poster and we sent back to the executive committee, which Leslie drove this back for review and input. And as Leslie was indicating, the poster would encourage future retirees to consider joining, not only joining, but participating in many of the events and goals that the committee has. ARSPA pictures that were on the poster portrayed community outreach, Voices and Melody, which was our retiree chorus, the Anne Arundel Preschool, which is that's a really wonderful school that's in Anne Arundel County. It's the oldest school standing in the state.
So in other words, this is like we have our hygiene shelf with our name on it.
Other items such as legislative monitoring and the ARSPA newsletter were included. Also, we highlighted some fun features that the organization has, such as informative luncheons and travel. So, as Leslie referred to Deb Ahalt, she puts photos in her ARSPA website on Facebook, and she gets the best pictures, and we were able to use her pictures in conjunction with design and print.
We don't have
so the poster
okay, you can just thank you.
Somebody's unmuted again.
It was Nancy. I've muted her. Nancy.
Okay. Sorry for the garble here. Poster was finalized and printed. We were able to get that done by the third week of May. We got some good feedback back from our executive committee. We took it back to design and print to make some final changes. We were all thrilled with the end product. And we were also, we were talking about later maintaining relationships with the school district. Well, we have a fantastic relationship with the design and print operations. They actually helped package the posters. They also assisted us in printing a letter that was signed by both co-presidents of ARSPA. And that package went out to each school, as well as all the general office locations by distribution quantities that the print shop uses. We were able to place those posters in teachers' lounges, front office, inside maintenance, and cafeteria locations, as well as general bulletin boards and satellite locations. So all employees, from executives to maintenance employees, and not discounting anything that anybody does. It's just a fantastic way of reaching out to the population, because when you walk in one of those areas, you're going to see that poster and go over and take a look at it. So I was thrilled to have the opportunity to work with Leslie and just thought it was such a great idea. Leslie, please fill in if we missed anything.
I think you did a very complete job, Susan. I think that, we just had a wonderful experience with our relationship with print design at our local board. We occasionally feed them, which probably helps to strengthen our ARSPA relationship with the print and design and the mail room. They're very good at helping with getting mailings out. So we hope to see a better awareness for everyone, to know that we're out there working for them while they're still working in the classroom. And we want them to know that when they retire, we're here for them with a variety of helpful helpful information, as well as community service ideas, as well as fun activities that they can participate in. If you have any questions? It was a process, though. It took us a while.
Yeah. But
Leslie, was there a cost to you guys?
no.
No, there was not. And that's because of the relationship that we have with print and design.
Now, that's not to say that maybe another school district would
Right.
pass on a cost, but we've been very fortunate. They also print our quarterly, or whatever the schedule is, the newsletters for ARSPA, right, Leslie?
No, they do not print the newsletters. What the county, we have them done at an offsite location for printing.
Okay.
But the board will do our mailing at a bulk mailing rate for us. So our newsletters that go out, and this is one of those volunteer things that I think Amina was discussing, is that we have lots of volunteers who will come down to the Board of Education, help us put the mailing labels on, help us put the little mailing wafers on, and the board then will mail them out, because we mail out sometimes as much as over 1,200 newsletters. And that 1,200 will also include the new retirees, whether they have joined or not. They receive our newsletter for 1 full year so that they have an understanding of what our organization is all about. And then when their year is up, we notify them that if they do not join, that we will no longer be sending them a newsletter. But we do receive, they do receive information as well as members.
But the majority go out through the email or constant contact?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah. We have more. It's funny because those people who are recently retired are people who still want to get a paper copy of the newsletter. But so we have more mailings than we do email mailings, but we do have a large number, close to about, I guess, maybe 500 or 600 emails that go out.
So I think you all just hit upon two things that are really important. And constant contact is probably the umbrella term I would use. Number one, making sure people are aware of who we are, because a lot of people don't even know that the Maryland Retired School Personnel Association exists. And number two, keeping it in front of them all the time with newsletters and posters. Eventually they're going to turn and look at these things. And if you continue to send newsletters, particularly talking about the things you do, the opportunities for members to either advocate, which, everybody wants to protect their pension and so on. And we want to make sure that we've got statewide guidelines for over 55 living facilities, or, those kinds of things, which you'd be surprised at how many things don't exist in this state. But there are those who like to advocate a lot. There are those who like to do community service a lot, and everybody likes to stay connected with somebody. So I think those two pieces of what you just said are extremely important.
Betty, may I add one more thing in this respect?
Absolutely.
We have over 100, close to 130 retirees who live on the Eastern Shore. And we have done 2 Eastern Shore meetings for those retirees, so that we know that most of them won't come across the bridge, but we have decided to go to them on their turf, so to speak. And this April, we will be headed down to the Ocean City area for a meeting. We've changed our locations twice already, and this will be the 3rd time. And to reach out to those people who are living on the Eastern Shore so that they can have a scaled down version of a ARSPA luncheon meeting. So
That's
I was
nice.
thinking of what that when John said he lives one place, which is not where he taught. So we're doing that crossover.
Very nice. Does
This
anybody
might be
have
of-
any?
I just want to add on to what, actually, this might be of interest to some of you from the Eastern Shore. It's, I think, going to be in Ocean Pines. So we have, like Anne Arundel County, for example, has a ton of people who live in, retire to Ocean Pines. So we're hoping we'll pick some of those back up. So, and if you live down there, keep your ears out. You might want to come to MRSPA's little luncheon in Ocean Pines.
Right.
Great. Does anybody else have any questions for our Anne Arundel County poster people?
No, this is Kenny Garvey from Frederick County. We followed an almost identical process in getting a poster made, similar size, 11 by 17, I believe, in every one of our high schools as well. So it seemed to be very effective. We unfortunately did not go through the system print shop, so we ended up paying for that.
If that's a possibility, that might allow you to get posters in every school.
So this is, for those who can see it, this is our poster. So it's very
We
similar.
have electronic
content.
copies of those posters. If you guys would like to see them a little better, if you can give Heidi a second to put them up on screen, maybe one at a time, slowly.
Kenny, I would also like to request from Kenny, since he's president for the Frederick County group, that we have one of our future meetings in Ocean City. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'll work on that. Maybe we'll bring Anne Arundel out to Frederick County and we'll go that way. Do a swap.
Very good. Okay, there's Anne Arundel counties.
It's larger than the 11 by 17. They made it quite large for us. So it's a sizable poster.
Very nice. Something worth trying if you haven't tried it already.
I'm pulling up the Frederick now. Give me just a second.
While she's doing that, I want to thank Leslie and Susan for sharing that information with us. And I'm sure if any of you have any questions, further questions of them, they would be happy to answer them via email or phone call or text or something. Oh, that's nice.
Sure.
I like the happy hours on there.
Yeah.
There you go. Very nice.
I love the pictures too
Very
on the
colorful.
poster. Yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you again, ladies. And I'm sure they'll be happy to answer any questions, as well as the Frederick County folks who can share their experience too. With that, I don't know where we are on time, but now we're supposed to go to strategies that are used to encourage people to switch and save. Debbie Thaxton, Marcia Wise, and Sally Smith from Frederick. Are you ladies ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Hi, everybody.
It's all yours.
Okay, thank you. She just said, I'm Debbie Thaxton from Frederick County, membership co-chair, along with Marcia Wise, who couldn't be with us today, but we do have Sally Smith, who is an MRSPA area director and happens to be also on our local. I also want to shout out Sharon Marconi and Mary Jo Richmond, who you've all heard from several times today. They are new members to our membership team with a retirement dates of 23 and 24. It doesn't get much newer than that. Okay, so at FCRSPA, over the last few years, we focused on moving many of our check-paying members to dues deduction members. Heidi, are you still with us?
Yes, sorry, I got a phone call from somebody at the office, so I was just making sure there was nothing wrong.
All right.
Okay,
So
let me share number one.
Okay. Those of you who are membership chairs are probably asking yourself, well, why would we be worried about moving folks from cash paying to dues deduction? But each year in October, we found that we had about 40 members who had either neglected to pay or forgotten to pay their membership bill, despite lots of contacts and reminders throughout the summer. And as you know, this entailed hours and hours of work to contact each one, trying to talk them into renewing and hoping that they followed through before November 1st, when they are removed from the ranks for non-renewal. And then usually, in our case, by November 1st, on average, we lost between 15 and 20 of our members to non-renewal. And as you know, part of our mission as membership chairs is to recruit, retain, and regain. So it's very difficult to lose 20 members and still feel that excitement about getting out and recruiting members from the next year. Our goal was to move more members to dues deduction and then ultimately hope to decrease the number of non-renewals in October. Another reason that we made this a focus was that we saw pictures and heard stories of the mail intake into the office throughout the month of July and August and September. Several of our board members who hold positions with MRSPA would volunteer their time to go down and help process all of that mail. And our question to ourselves was, could moving members to switch and save help us retain members and cut down on the work of the limited staff to process all of that mail? Sorry, those are pictures that are...
Sorry, I should have labeled them better.
That's okay.
I got, let's see.
All right, I'll go on. We knew this process was going to be a long process because, after all, in June of 2023, we had 747 members, and 237 of those folks were paying by check. We suspected that we would have to break it down into manageable pieces, not tackle it all at once, and that it might take us several years. So here's how we went through the process. In January of 23, those are our talking points. I'll get to that in a minute. In January of 2023, we came to our local board and suggested that this would be something that we work together to try to achieve. In the spring of 2023, we asked for board members to volunteer and contact approximately 10 members who were paying by check to switch and save. We called them our switch and save calling team. Well, as you might suspect, we didn't get 10 people. We got 6, which included Marcia and me. but 6 is better than none. We started with a list of talking points for each of those 6 members, and shared the Switch and Save poster that is created by MRSPA, and shared a list of the members, of the 237 members who were paying by check. Each person went down through and selected, 8 to 10 people that they felt comfortable contacting. We didn't assign people. We wanted the volunteer board members to have comfort in knowing they could contact who they wanted to contact. At that time, approximately 32 members switched during the summer of July and August of 23. We did the same thing again this year, but one caveat: we did not include any names on the list who said no thank you the year before. So we're taking that out of the equation. We provided the same resources to our team of callers and repeated the same process of the list of talking points, which Heidi has and can pull up, the list of names of the members who are cash payers, and the list of the Switch and Save form. This summer, we're calling a much smaller list of people. We are certain that we recruited 12 members to switch from cash paying or check paying to dues deduction. So now we're starting to think, what are some other ways that we can reach these folks who are still paying by cash and talk to them, make those connections, as Amina talked about doing. And what we have done in the last few months is approached folks as we're having happy hours. We're calling that our bonus strategy, using the excitement of a happy hour to approach members that I've already identified who are still paying by check, and ask them if they would consider switching to dues deduction. Sally is going to talk to you now about that process and how effective it's been for us.
Hi, everybody. The first time that we offered an incentive for folks was at a happy hour, and we have those about every other month or every couple months, and that was a free drink ticket. We actually had 8 members on the spot switch and save for a free drink. So we thought, okay, that sounds pretty good. We offered this at the rest of our happy hours, and they usually have a theme like not back to school in September, ring in the new year, end of the school year, happy hello fall. That's the one coming up in this next month in October, Sadie Hawkins in February. And we include a free drink ticket at these happy hours for anyone who wants to switch and save, and also for any new member who wants to join at that meeting and then choose dues deduction. These happy hours are published in our newsletter, on the website, on Facebook, and then we send out an extra reminder a little bit ahead of time, because I touch base with the person who is I've set this up with the restaurant to let them know how many people are coming. And we've chosen several different locations over the past several years and accept suggestions from our membership. The interesting thing is we are hitting our new members, but our younger members for these happy hours in the 50s and up, whereas our luncheons seem to hit more senior members. And we average between 40 and 45 folks at each of these happy hours at the local restaurants. And we just settle up at the end of the evening for those free drinks, excuse me, with the person in charge of the restaurant. Back to you, Deb.
Thanks, Sally. Thank you. That's been very effective almost to the point now that when I get the list of members who are attending a happy hour and I go through the reports for Frederick County, it's fewer and fewer and fewer people for me to approach and have a little conversation about possibly switching. So it's being effective. And I'll never forget that first, there we are with three of our favorite members, including Kenny Garvey in the center in the maroon sweatshirt or maroon sweater. I think it's been an effective way, and I'll never forget the first time we offered it, those 8 members at the first happy hour were all in for that, switching and saving because, they wanted to save the $10 on their membership, plus they wanted 1 free drink. So, all in all, without giving you exact numbers, because it's hard to measure exactly, because you're also recruiting new members each year, and you don't know whether that was a dues deduction member because it was a brand new member or because it was somebody you switched. But all in all, in June of 2023, about a third of our members were paying by check. In September of 2024, only about a fourth of our members are paying by check. And we'll continue to do this, knowing that the number is going to get fewer and fewer as we go. And as I said before, in August, Marcia and I welcomed 2 new members to our membership team who are joining us for the training today. Please say hello, Mary Jo Richmond and Sharon Marconi. Any questions from any member?
I have a question. This is Addie Kaufman from Howard County.
Hi, Addie.
How do you handle it when you're at the happy hour itself? Do you bring a computer with you so that you can just do the switch and save or membership right then and there?
No, I don't do that, probably because I'm never quite sure what the internet's going to be like. But I can show you a copy of what I do beforehand. What I tell them, I bring the switch and save forms. I bring as many as I think I'll need. And that way I can also answer questions and walk people through, because there's often a question about the Social Security number. And I just say to them, if you're not comfortable putting that on your form, here's the number, and we circle it, and you can call Lana or Wanda with your Social Security number. But this is what I bring with me. If I can show you just a list of the names that Sally provides me who are coming. And from that, I do a little homework beforehand and indicate to myself who's still paying by check. And then I quietly have a conversation with that person and tell them the benefits of switch and save and, slip them the form and then collect the form, and I mail them all in together, which saves them a stamp.
That's great. Thank you. How do we get the forms? Wanda, is that something you send us?
Just print them off the internet.
Right, exactly. Whoever said that, you can just print them right off the website. Yes, absolutely. Yep.
Thank you.
And Debbie, don't forget, when you mail them in together, then you get a gift card, which you can use as a door prize at that hour.
Absolutely. And I tell folks that the next event that we have, let's say, we get some from one happy hour and they get processed at the state, then I get the gift cards back and I tell folks, I'm going to have these gift cards to give away as door prizes at the next happy hour or the next luncheon or whatever.
Debbie's also not telling you that she has this really large, annoying bell that she
I can find that for you.
But you know what? And so I still remember that bell being rung when I joined. And and one time, and I can't remember, I think it was maybe in the spring that she didn't bring the bell. And you know what? And I really missed the bell. So there's like little things like that you just like, it's kind of like where you just play and make everybody's day. And that's one of the ways to do it.
And I think in connection with the earlier topic about reaching out to new members, I think Mary Jo and Sharon, one of the first things you really participated in was the happy hour. And you found that there were a lot of folks that you saw there that had recently retired or in the past that you'd worked with. And so it kind of serves a double function with that. And I forgot to mention the RSVP for this happy hour is important because then it enables me to give Debbie the list. And it also enables me to communicate with the proprietor how many people are coming so they can staff appropriately. So it's a double meaning for that too.
Yeah, here's an example of one of the flyers that Sally creates for our happy hours. And you see she includes on there a RSVP and also a reminder that if you join by dues deduction, you get a coupon for a free drink.
Debbie, I'm from Sue from Harry County with Addie, and I just wanted to thank you. We have our Not Back to School happy hour tomorrow night.
Yay!
We've got over 40 signed up, and I am taking notes furiously so that we can we were already bringing membership brochures because we know some members are bringing new people, but we're definitely going to do the free drink coupon as well. So Addie, be ready. That bill just went up.
Well, and I can't help but think that it has to be overwhelming to get all of that mail. I mean, I've seen pictures of stacks and stacks of mail that has to be processed and in a limited amount of time.
Car, let's roll. Airport. Papa's not coming. Did Papa say this?
That's somebody unmuted again.
Okay.
Celeste Williams.
Yes.
I have a question.
Okay.
For real.
How many locals are there in the state of Maryland that has their own local association? Now I'm saying that because when we look at the big picture, you have the AAR, the AAR.
I got everything all dialed up in the car.
We have 3 groups coming after us for membership. We have MRSPA, you have AARP, and you have your local. And I was just asking because we are all teachers, and when we get too many folks reaching after you, you get divided. People are saying, why are you over there when you've always been over here with us? MSEA, NEA, and your local. So my question is, when we retire, I know in Prince George's County, it came up MRSPA. So I want to know what is it that we need to do to be cohesive? I mean, as teachers, the best of us teach. So as teachers, how can we stay connected? Because I hear everybody wants more members. You want to keep your members. I belong to both. I belong to my local in Prince George's County, and I belong to MRSPA. And that happened because I was put into MRSPA when I retired. And then I found out I wasn't doing my thing with the local. So then I paid the dues for my local. So I just want that to be something that we think about and try to come up with a solution so that we can all stay happy educators and enjoy each other as we move to the future in retirement. That's just a question out there. Because like I said, there are 3 groups, and I think all of us probably belong to AARP. because they're big time. They have all kinds of stuff coming at you. Good information. And then we have MRSPA. They have good information. And then we have our locals where you at home most of the time. So I don't know. I don't know if anybody can answer that question. Do all of the units in the state of Maryland have a local retired teachers group that works to meet the needs of the local at home? That's just the
Most of them
question.
do. Most of them do, Celeste. This is Betty.
Most of them do. Okay, Betty. All right. Because we see our friends and we want to be with our friends. And like I say, I ended up paying dues for two because I didn't want to lose my friends over in MRSPA. And a lot of them, they're in, we already in, those of us, when we retired, we were already in MSEA and NEA.
Some people stayed in MSEA NEA, but this works just like that organization does. You've got your local, you've got your state, and it's up, in my opinion, it's up to the locals. If you got put in your local right away, make sure the locals are talking about the state organization that helps the locals. We have to make those connections as locals, and I think MSRPA is also trying to make the connection from the state down to the locals. So as we get into this, there are a couple more presentations. One from Howard County about the agreement they have with, I guess, with their local school system. And then one, we're going to talk a little bit about a possible media campaign that's going to be done statewide that should help with the question that you have as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Betty, excuse me. Before we go on, there was a question in the chat that just came directly to me that I would like to address just briefly.
Go ahead.
Because it does pertain to a couple of the associations involved here. And the question surrounds why some people cannot or are not eligible for dues deduction. And we do have some members that are not eligible for dues deduction, and some locals may not even be aware of this because it doesn't apply to your local, right? But we do have a couple of locals, Montgomery County in particular, and some in Baltimore County, and potentially just a few people on the Eastern Shore, because you do not receive your pension from the Maryland State Retirement and Pension System. You receive your pension from a local pension system, as it were, the Montgomery County pension system and what have you. That we do not have agreements, MRSPA being the we, do not have agreements with those other pension systems, and therefore we cannot deduct your dues from your pension check. So, the question was, why can't I, why doesn't this apply to me, and why can't I do this? And that's the reason why. We only have an agreement with the Maryland State Retirement and Pension System, which the majority of our members are members of the Maryland State Retirement and Pension System, but we do have a few hundred members who are not eligible for dues deduction because they are not members of the Maryland State Retirement and Pension System. And that goes way back to years ago when some employees were not allowed, in quotation marks, to be members of the Maryland State Retirement and Pension System. And so some school systems created their own pensions for those employees. So I hope that somewhat answers that question. And I appreciate the time, Betty. Thank you.
No problem, Wanda. Thanks for the clarification. And I'm sure if you have further questions for Debbie and Marcia and Sally, they would be happy to answer them for you. There's some great ideas there that seem to be working, maybe worth trying for the rest of us. So please, if you don't mind, ladies, I'm going to tell people to feel free to contact you and pick your brains or have discussions or whatever helps. And thank you very, very much for that presentation. We appreciate it. Now we have the local association agreement with HCPS whatever school system SS from Sue and Addie. And Sue and Addie, if you're ready, go for it.
All right. Let me see. Do I need to be a co-host to share?
No, anyone should be able to share. You just have to, oh, yep, there you go.
Can you see that?
Yep.
Okay. So in Howard County, way back in the day, we had a very informal partnership. We didn't have a written agreement. And we've always worked very closely with the Howard County Public School System. In more recent years, we had different superintendents, and the previous superintendent asked us if we could have an actual written partnership agreement in the way that they create partnership agreements with other organizations and companies throughout the system. So Sue Mascaro took the lead on this. She is my co-president. And together we drafted a partnership agreement, which is a fluid document and we can change at different times. We currently have a new superintendent in the system who Sue and I both know. And so in the near future, we will be setting up a meeting with him to determine whether or not we want to add things to this. And in particular, based on the meeting today, something like the posters and other things that we've heard about here. So this is a formal partnership, as you can see, and it's between our local chapter and the school system itself. We have, let me move this a little bit. Okay. We have a mission that will work collaboratively, and then you can see we have objectives. And specifically, we worked with the school system to determine what was most important for both organizations. So when requested, we will send folks to speak at our Teachers Academy of Maryland, Educators Rising, different clubs, etc. We annually ask a musical group from one of the schools, and we'll invite mostly high school, but we've started inviting elementary and or middle schools as well. And they perform at our Heart Holiday meeting, which is always in December. And we, as an organization, provide the cost of the bus transportation, and we give them a stipend for their music programs as well. And that's worked very nicely. Our members really look forward to hearing them. And we just make sure that when we do the transportation, it's aligned with our field trip policy within the school system. We collaborate with the Human Resources Department. We support employee appreciation initiatives, and we give them a list of the different events that we have. Oftentimes, we'll ask the superintendent to come and speak and just update us at one of our meetings. And again, our members really appreciate him coming to speak and just sharing what's going on in the school system, because people like to remain knowledgeable and connected. And then each year we offer scholarships to students pursuing a degree in education. Excuse me. The number varies. It certainly decreased during COVID, and at one point we stopped because we weren't incurring the money that we normally did from scholarship donations. So now we're back at it. We have a new scholarship committee. We tend to do a silent auction to help us with the funds. We have raffles. Excuse me. And then we send folks, when asked, to junior interviews. You can see on here, history day, advisory committees, etc. I am so sorry. Additionally, we have information included in the retiree packet, but as someone previously stated, sometimes that packet is pretty overwhelming. So we also try and provide information at our not back to school happy hour, new member events, things like that. And we will give them information, particularly about our website, because that's where we have our events listed and most of our information. We always invite a Hart representative to speak at the retiree celebration at the end of each school year, as well as any of the retirement seminars. And they've been very good about allowing us to come to the retiree seminars and present. And HCPSS also has a link to our website in their retiree section of their website, which is really helpful. And you can see much more of it is about the different events that we have and inviting people to come. And when we do evaluate how things are going or look at the agreement to make some changes and revisions, we'll just look at how many people are participating at our events and how many events we've been able to hold. And we just do our best to maintain a collaborative relationship. And again, we've been very, very fortunate in Howard County in that the folks who have been president for many, many years are usually very close with the superintendents that have been in the system. And that certainly makes a big difference because the majority of our presidents have also been administrators. So we tend to work more closely with the superintendents just by the nature of our job. That's worked to our benefit over the years. Sue, do you have anything to add?
Well, I was just laughing when you said most of our presidents. What is this, year 8 for us, Addie?
It's year 8 for us, right?
You know, Addie did a great job reviewing everything, and I think it really has been beneficial for us. The one piece that we can no longer do is they used to allow us to send something out via email, but now we do have to provide documents to them, and they will put address or address labels and send them out to all retirees. So that's one thing, unfortunately, we are no longer able to do. But all in all, the partnership really has helped us, and hopefully that's why our numbers are continuing on the upswing, if not a lot, but certainly some.
Any questions?
Well, that's all very interesting. And it goes back again to what Amina said earlier about relationship building. The relationship between the Board of Ed, the school system, and the association is so important if you want to get things done. And I envy all of those of you who have good relationships, even with new superintendents, because they do change. And I would encourage all locals to try to establish those relationships because it does work to the benefit of the association. Are there questions for these ladies? Okay, well, I'm sure they will be happy to communicate with you in the future if you do have questions. And if you want to know more about the document they produced and that sort of thing. So thank you, ladies. Much appreciated again. Moving on the agenda, potential MSRPA media campaign. Wanda, I'm going to ask you to join me on this one. Membership is one of my passions because without membership, we don't have an organization. And we certainly have a potential to have more members. Some of you are doing a great job. Some of us, it's a little easier because we're small. Some of you are very large, and I know it must present challenges I can't even imagine, but there are ways to grow membership. And I was told once that when you lose a member, you actually have to pick up 2 to make gains, which makes a lot of sense. So every time you lose one, it's like back two, forward one. So we have to think about that. There are some great ideas. There are some ideas that we have not tried, and one of them is a media campaign, a statewide media campaign. They're expensive, but they could be very fruitful. We've talked to two different organizations. One of them is WTOP, and the other one is at Herman, Wanda?
That's correct, yes.
And have gotten plans from both of them about different ways to use social media, Facebook, things like that, ways to use radio perhaps, or TV maybe, and try to pick up membership that way. It's still in discussion, but it sounds like it might be worth trying. And I think it is something that some of you might be able to do on a local basis if you have a local radio station or something like that, to get the name of MRSPA out there. There are people who don't know who this organization is. And for many years, I did not know. I knew there was another organization out there, but I had no idea who it was, how it was different from MSCA, NEA, and MSCA retired. I didn't know any of that. So this sounds like a good idea. Wanda, you're more familiar with the proposals that were drafted. Can you explain some of the different pieces of them for people, please?
Sure. Generally speaking, the major differences, the difference between the two proposals is that the proposal from WTOP is an all digital proposal. So everything that they recommended that we do as a statewide organization would be done electronically. It would be email contacts. It would be ads on Google and Facebook and on different websites, so that all of you that use the computer regularly, that as you're scrolling around, or when you go shopping for a shirt, and you click on that shirt, and then 2 days later, all of a sudden that shirt pops up and you're pops up on the page, and you're like, I don't want that shirt. But but the internet thinks you do. And so they would use that type of a campaigning to get our message out, and essentially it would drive the ads would drive people to our website. And so part of the proposal from both organizations, both companies, was that they would update our website for us, our web page, our homepage, not the whole site, just the homepage. Because of course, if you did the whole website, that's a whole different dollar figure. So, and generally our website has really good information on it. So it was just updating the look, the look of it. And then the Herman's proposal included not only the Facebook and the emails and the the different websites that you click on and so forth. So all of the same kind of things that WTOP suggested, but also possibly print ads in the different major newspapers, and then in those smaller local newspapers. And potential radio, and then eventually at some point, if we decided and that we wanted to do it and pay for it, a television advertisement. So it hits the gamut in terms of all forms of communication versus just digital. So the membership and the public relations committees of MRSPA have both looked at the proposals and have had discussions and conversations, and are thinking that this is something else that we could do to improve our membership. Along with all of the other things we're doing. This by no means is a panacea. It doesn't mean we can stop doing any of the of these in-person, reaching out, happy hours, creating the relationships. All of these things still need to continue to happen. this is just another tool in that toolbox, as they say. And the other thing that we have to realize is that both of the companies were very clear that this is not going to happen overnight. It's not going to be one, it's not going to be that we do one thing and all of a sudden we're going to have 200 new members. It's going to be take an extended campaign for anything like this to be successful.
There was some concern in the committees about paying for this, but because we've done so many meetings via Zoom in the last few years, there has been some money saved. So that's where part of this would come from. And I also think that it is new and different. Amina said earlier, we need to touch people now, not 7 times, but 12 to 18 times. And maybe this is a good way to start doing that. The personal touch is always the best, but at least we would have a way now for people to know who we are, as well as your locals, and again, help membership. It's not going to be a panacea, but it might be a help. Anything else, Wanda?
I think that's a general overview, unless people have questions. I mean, we did bring this up earlier this year to the local presidents, so some of you have heard some of this before. But if you had any, if they have any questions or comments or what have you.
Questions? Well, if you think of any, again, you can certainly ask them via phone or email, and we'll try to get you answers for them. But that's looming on the horizon, and we're hoping if we go forward with it, it will make a difference in membership. With that, I think we're close to the end. I personally do not have any announcements, except that I'm really, really excited to hear about what everybody's doing. I've had the chance to visit a couple of locals already, and you guys are pretty great at what you're doing, and the enthusiasm of the people that I saw there. And I'm looking forward to visiting a few more locals. Wanda, are there other announcements that we should make?
I just noticed a question in the chat. When do we think a decision will be made about the campaign? That will depend on the board of directors. So the next board of directors meeting is in December. That doesn't mean that the decision will be made then, but I would say that that's the soonest that a decision would be made. As far as I know, the President Weller has not decided to have any kind of special meeting, so I believe that would be the earliest that a decision.
Although that's not out of the realm of possibilities.
And then the only other announcement, and this may be I may be saying this too soon, but and I'll come back to you there, Ayana. Your question in the chat. We've created a questionnaire, a survey. It's an electronic survey for the members, and it hasn't been completely finalized and reviewed and so forth, but it is a survey. It's only 15 or 16 questions, and it is to try to get to the heart of what value we are currently offering the membership, and what else we might do differently to improve that value in their membership. And so, just so you're aware that everyone that we have an email address for may at some point in the not too distant future receive that survey, and that we would love for people to actually complete it and to take part in it, to let us know what their thoughts are on those questions. The question, are we helping out in any way with the upcoming election? Ayana, we are a nonpartisan organization, and therefore we do not get involved in the elections. Individuals are certainly encouraged and to go out and do what you think is best in your local area. And we have, we have sent out information in our newsletter that just went out electronically last week. And of course, the paper copies should be in the mail any day that talk about early voting and how to register and election day and so forth. And additionally, we will, if we have not already, we'll have that on Facebook, that information on Facebook as well. And I believe that the legislative committee had asked us to send that out via constant contact too. So that's essentially what we will be doing in terms of the upcoming election. And then Addie is asking if people could send Addie Kaufman at gmail.com. She would like the copies of any of your local bylaws. Is that what you're asking there, Addie?
Yes, Sue and I are getting ready to redo our bylaws, and we would love to see updated bylaws from any of the other organizations. That would be really helpful to us. So if you have them, I put my email address in the chat there.
And
Great.
you also have all the local presidents' emails in your leadership manual. Remember, you all got those, your leadership manuals. So you have those email addresses there as well. So that's the
although
yeah.
Wanda, I probably should clarify that I haven't set up an MRSPA email yet.
Oh.
Is that what's in that manual?
It probably is. Yes.
Okay. So if anybody needs to contact me or wants to contact me, it's just weller.betty@gmail.com. It's very simple. That's my personal email. Happy to answer emails if you have any questions.
Say that again.
Weller, WELLER .Betty, BETTY @gmail.com. Oh, Lana, Heidi put it in the.
It's in the chat.
Yes. And the only other announcement, since we don't support elections or candidates, I would just suggest that you all get out and vote.
Yes.
Wanda, do we have door prizes?
We surely do. And
oh boy.
I've got a big basket here today. Turn my video on just for a minute.
I see Carla sitting there smiling because she's not running this meeting.
We got lots of papers in the basket today. The first winner is Helen Schofstall from Worcester County, and I think poor Helen had to leave to go to her local meeting.
Does that mean she doesn't get her prize?
That's what that means. I think.
Oh darn!
Because I'm pretty sure Wacomico and Worcester both have meetings this afternoon. I don't see her anymore. Does anybody see Helen?
No.
Alrighty, so we'll draw again.
There's a Helen on the meeting, Helen Schofstall.
Yeah, is she still there?
Her link is open.
She's muted, but she's here.
Is she?
It's that funny thing that looks like a planet in space.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe she's driving then. So Helen will be the first one then. Helen Schofstall. And the second one will be Mary Ellen. And Mary Ellen, please say your last name for me so I don't butcher it. From Cecil County.
Butkowitz.
Butkowitz.
All right.
Congratulations, Mary Ellen and Helen.
Oh, thank you.
Another one.
So that's 2 from the Eastern Shore already. There you go. And the third one, Susan Bauer from Anne Arundel County.
Well,
So,
congratulations,
yay!
Susan. That's your reward for your presentation today.
All right. So those are our 3 winners for this meeting.
All
I
right.
see our Vice President Tilly there too. Tilly, is there anything you'd like to say?
Hello, everyone. This has been so awesome. Together, all of this information is marvelous. And I hope that we will all go back to our locals and march in and say, we are going to grow.
Absolutely. Thank you. And by the way, since we're almost at the end now, if any of you, I don't know, Wanda, if you send out evaluations for these kinds of things, but if any of you have comments about the meeting, good, bad, or ugly, and you want to send them either to Wanda or to me, it would only help us make the next meetings better. So feel free to let us know what you liked, what you didn't like, what you thought we needed more of, whatever's on your mind. And we'll see if we can't put those comments to good use. Yes? No?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. One person said yes. All right. It is not quite 12:30. We said we'd be done by 12:30, but I really want to thank all of you for giving 2.5 hours of your time for this morning. I do hope you got some information you can use. And if you start using some of it and you have success with it, please share it with us because we want to make sure everybody can use it, adapt it for whatever their situation is. And hopefully we're going to have a great, tremendous membership year.
Yes.
So thank you very much, and we'll see you all somewhere soon.
All right. Sounds good.
Take care.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Very nice meeting. Very nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great meeting. Thanks.
Thank you all.
Adios.
Adios.
Thank you.
Hasta luego. Auf Wiedersehen. Au revoir.
All of the above.
All of the above. Bye-bye.
Bye.